So we've been playing around with the A7s.
To be totally honest, the first time I held it in my hand, I was in an airport, and first thing I thought was, I hate this camera.
The A7s. What hasn't already been said?
The A7s is cool because it's got a full frame sensor. That's awesome, right? Everyone wants full frame.
I will say, after taking some photos with this, the full frame is pretty nice.
And because it's only a 12 megapixel sensor, the photo sites on this thing are humongous. And I have proof of that because we shot some low light footage with an iPhone that is ridiculous. So this is at ISO 32,000, not 3200, 32,000. GH4 doesn't go this high. GH4 maxes out at 6400. So we just decided to push the A7s. And this is ISO 128,000. Now it is, we are over by maybe a stop and a half overexposed, which is pretty incredible considering we're bouncing an iPhone torch off the ceiling.
I'm pretty sure the Navy SEALs would use this for their night vision.
It is insane how good this camera is in low light. So if that's a priority for you, get this camera. Like, go to Amazon right now and buy it, or B&H Photo. I don't care where you get it from, but just go buy this camera. Because if you need to shoot in low light, like at weddings or at concerts or in your bedroom, get this camera.
It has some really cool features. It outs 4K through HDMI on the side. To get 4K recorded, you're gonna need an external recorder.
That's an extra $2,000 that I have to spend for a Shogun. That's kind of expensive.
Essentially, when people say, hey, you can get 4K capability with this camera, really what they're saying is, hey, you can spend a grip ton of frickin' money and buy this to get 4K with this camera. Internally, it does do 1080 and it does beautiful 1080.
This camera only does 1080 internally, and you know, that used to be cool back in 2007.
Yeah, soundbite.
Other things to like about this camera, there's not a whole lot to like. The things that are to like are really cool. Like full frame is awesome, low light, really cool, but everything else is kind of...
It's a really crisp image, it looks nice, but the menu's awful to use. It feels weird in your hand.
The menu button. No, terrible spot for it. Top left when all of your other functions are on the right side.
Why? Don't do that. Nikon does that. Stop it. Keep it all right here so I can do one thumb to everything. You know, I've got these two fingers, give me the buttons. And it's even that, it's in a weird spot. It's recessed behind the screen. So it's not even comfortable to hit.
This camera is really compact and small, which doesn't do it any favors as far as trying to hold it handheld.
There is no way that your fingers would ever comfortably sit in this position. There is no way.
It's much better if you throw it on a rig or sticks because it's going to be a lot easier to handle.
You'd think it have a touch screen because when you go to like review a clip, it's got a big play button, and I went to go hit the play button and it did nothing.
I don't know who thought this was a good idea. It is the worst design, I think, of any freaking screen. Now I know that a lot of the DSLRs with flip screens and pull-out screens for Sony are like this. Sony, this is a terrible idea.
Half the time I'm standing over here to the side of the camera and I can't see it.
I'm not sure why they made it so that it's tilt up or down. Maybe that helps sometimes if you're trying to record holding it up.
You know what other button sucks on this camera? Is the record button.
Where's the record button? There it is.
Like, I'm a video guy, and so why the hell is the record button on the side?
Have you seen the batteries on the A7s?
They're tiny. It's about the size of a GoPro battery.
This is like the Snickers fun size you get at Halloween and you're disappointed. I'm disappointed in this battery.
You're probably gonna want to buy a lot of these batteries because they do not last long. I had the camera on for maybe 20 minutes and I used about 20% of the battery. It doesn't last long.
Here's one thing that is freaking weird. It has airplane mode. Airplane mode.
If money was not an object, the A7s probably would be the way to go, just because you can record 4K externally to ProRes with a Shogun or something like that. You've got the lightweight body that if you want to fly it, you can do that. You've got the full frame sensor. You've got really good low light capabilities. The only problem is there's just like a lot of workarounds that you need to like tack things on. Like you wouldn't ever, holding this camera doesn't feel right.
When it comes to usability and ease of use, GH4 is so much easier to use. But when it comes to low light capability and the fact that you have full frame, which is awesome, this is great.
GH4 has a lot more capabilities within it, 4K internal being one of the major ones as opposed to this one, because the amount of money you're going to pay just for the body itself, not to mention any smart adapter you're going to want to buy with any other glass you might already own that isn't proprietary to the Sony.
It's a consumer camera with prosumer or professional capabilities.
You just have to add a lot to this, and you're gonna end up spending a lot more money, and you're buying show guns, and you're buying cages, and you're buying all this stuff. And you know what? In a year or two, you're gonna buy another camera.
I would say the ability and the full frame on the A7s is probably going to be the way to go if you are interested in doing more photography work as well as your video.
When it comes to prosumer, the guys going out and shooting and getting paid for it, DSLR base, these two cameras still gonna be better than buying a Canon.
Both these cameras are great, but neither one is perfect. They're not in the same league as, Red or Arri or some of the really high-end cameras, but they serve a purpose. They're really great. They're maybe even like, I'd say close to 90% of the way there. And for a lot of people, they will be good enough, especially as a camera to own yourself. Those higher-end cameras, just rent those. Don't buy something that you can't afford. Obviously, that's just good advice for life. Honestly, these cameras are both great. They both serve separate purposes for different people. If you're budget conscious, get the GH4. It's gonna give you a lot of bang for your buck. But if you got a little bit more money to spend, get the A7s. The full frame is probably worth it to you. You can do 4K externally, and you can put some pretty cool lenses on here if you buy some of the Metabones adapters. So, different things for different people and different needs. Low light especially is huge on the A7s. Me personally, I favor on the side of the GH4 just because I want to save my money for other cool gear and gizmos. So if you want to check out other reviews about cameras or lights or whatever, check out the channel. You can subscribe if you want to, or you can check out the blog, all that good internet stuff. The HDMI on this is 422 8-bit, 422 10-bit on the GH4. So technically the 4K output from this is better by 2 bits, which from what I understand is actually quite a bit. That was dumb. Yeah.